Okay, area of a triangle. So we're on page 136, as you know. Now we've got there in the book, there is a formula, right? But what we're going to do is get to that formula rather than just me telling you. Right? So I'm going to start with a rectangle. All right. So if I say that is a 5 by 8 rectangle, whatever units, what is the area of the rectangle? Right?
40.
So how do you do it again?
8 times 5.
8 times 5 is
40 squared centimeters.
Well, only if it is centimetres. So if I put centimetres, then you would say square centimetres. But square units, if I haven't told you that it is centimetres. So the rectangle's that. Right? Is there any way of getting a triangle from a rectangle?
Yes.
Go on then. What?
You can draw a slanted line in the...
What's it called? Do you remember the name? From that activity you did in your homework? Drawing that line is called doing a
diagonal.
Yeah, a diagonal. Right? So if I do the diagonal, I get 2 triangles. Right? So I've got this triangle here, and I've got another one there which is the same, yeah? Same size. But if I then want the area of the triangle, what would you say?
The triangle.
You divide it.
Divided by 2. So it would be 8 times 5 divided by 2, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because you do the whole thing and then just cut it in half and you get the answer 20 centimetres squared. Right? Now, another way of doing divide by 2 is to actually write a half times 8 times 5. Okay.
That's what it says in the book.
That's what it says in the book. So the half is just the same as the divide by 2. Do you all sort of appreciate that? The divide by 2 is the same as a half times. We have done it. Okay. Right. Now, the thing is as well, in a rectangle, the 8 is called a what? Called the...
The width. Nope.
Right, because it's the longer one, so it's the length, and the 5 is the width. Now we don't call that with the triangle. In the triangle, we call it the... Any ideas?
Oh.
Yeah.
The base and the height.
The base and the height from the book. Right, so the base and the height in this case. Because the height, now it says in your book that it's the perpendicular height, right? And it's do you remember the name of the word? What perpendicular means? No? Anyone? Perpendicular means?
Like slanted shape?
No. At 90 degrees. So it's at 90 degrees because this side, the height, is at 90 degrees to the base. Okay, like that. So we've got a 90-degree angle. Right. So that's also quite important because when we've got other triangles, it's important that we don't use the wrong thing. All right. I'm going to get you to write that. Draw those notes down. Right. So the next stage is to look at, well, what if we don't have it just cut the rectangle in half? Alright, so I'm going to draw another rectangle. Oh. I'm going to another rectangle. And what I want to do this time is pick a different point and draw your lines to make a triangle. So I'm going to go to the middle of the top, so I'm going to do that. Okay. and I'm going to do that. And this now is the triangle that I'm looking at. Right, what do you think about the area of this triangle? Do you think it's still 5 times 8 and divide by 2? Yeah, no? Or do you think it's changed, or do you think it's... Because before it was 5 times 8 for the rectangle, we cut it in half. Do you think this is still half the whole rectangle?
No.
Well, let me do this. So I'm going to chop this triangle into half, which just happens to be half the rectangle. It doesn't look it, probably isn't, but imagine it is. Right? So what would this length be?
4.
4. And this length would also be
4.
4. Now what I've got is actually 2 smaller rectangles.
Squares.
Right? Well, they're not squares because it's 5 and 4. Now, what is the area of that red one then? In the blue rectangle. Can you do that?
Is it 5 times 4 divided by 2?
Yeah, so 5 times 4 divided by 2, I'm going to do half times. And what's the answer?
10
10
centimeters
square. And what about this one? This other side?
It's the same.
It's the same again, yeah? Because it's 5 times 4 divided by 2. So actually this side is also 10 centimeters squared. If I add them together to make the 2 red bits, what do I get? 20. Is it the same as the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before you draw that, let me just show you another one. Right? So if I have again the same rectangle, 5 by 8, but this time I draw my lines in a different place. So I'm going to go from here up to there, and then down to there. So I'm now looking at this triangle. Well, again, what if I were to split this triangle but do it with 2 different sized?
Then
So if I do this triangle, well, let's say this length is 6 and this is therefore 2, right? Let's work out the areas of the 2. Do you think it is still going to be the 20?
No.
So what's the area of this one? 5 times
6
6
is 36.
divided
No,
by 2 is, so 5 times 6 is
30.
30.
15.
So 15.
Centimeters.
And this one would be a half of 2 times,
That was 10.
so 2 times 5,
Is 10.
so it would be 5. If I add those 2 together, I get
20.
20. Alright? So, basically, it doesn't matter where I draw this point along the rectangle, as long as the triangle fits from one corner to the other, so the base doesn't change, and this, what we call the height, remember I said it was the perpendicular height, if that doesn't change, the area of the triangle is always the same. Make sense? Okay. I'll let you write those down.
Nope.
Okay, so moving on then. So basically, what's important is knowing the height of the rectangle that the triangle fits in. Okay? have you noticed how I don't know the length of this triangle here or here? I only know this height, oh, sorry, the base length, not the height. I know the base length, right? And I know the height of the triangle, okay? Now, this length and this length, I don't know, and I don't need to know. And this is where people make mistakes, okay? But this is also where the area of a triangle formula, okay, comes from. It's a half times the base times the height. That works for any triangle. But the most important bit is knowing the base and the height, because if you choose the wrong values, you'll get the wrong thing. Right? So, along those lines, if I were to draw and say a triangle that's not to scale, right? So if I just draw, oh, try it again. So draw yourself a triangle. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to make some numbers up. Right. So triangle. So there's a triangle, and let's say it's 7, 6, 5.5. Okay. If I were to ask you for that triangle, can you tell me the area of that triangle? What would you say? Indile?
Is it half times 6 times 7 times 5.5?
6 times 7 times 5.5, you think. What do you reckon, guys? Right? What do you reckon? Half times 6 times 7 times 5.5.
Like, will be too much
Why?
because like it just be too
Why? Right?
You do a half times 6 times 7, and then you get that, and then you multiply your answer by 5.5.
So what she's saying is right, you would say.
But you do.
Because that's the same thing, what you said. It's the same thing. Well, half times 6 times 7 times 5.5. Well, let me have a question then. The half, fine. So you're saying which one's the base?
The 7?
The 7, okay? So I'm going to go with 7 is the base. Right? So you're fine with that. I agree. I would go with 7 can be a base. And then I just need times height, but you've got 2 other numbers. So can it be correct?
Do you times those together, divide by 2, and then times by 7?
That might be a way of getting rid of a number. Well, actually, the question is, can you work out the area of that triangle at the moment?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
Oh.
And the reason is because there's no height. Good. Do you remember I said here, look, on here, I don't know that length, and I don't know that length. Right? And I never used them, did I? So this length and this length, I never used them. And that's the same as this length and this length. So do I need them?
No.
No. What I need to know is the height. Right? So it's like doing this, for instance. It's like putting a box around, right, the triangle. If I put a box around it, which is the dimension that I need to know? I need to know this one here, or that would be here, look. Remember, it's the perpendicular height. So this length is the height. So I haven't told you the height. But let's say I make up a height and I say the height is, I've picked funny numbers, but let's say the height is 6.5 centimetres now. So what sum would you do to now work out the area of that. So do we agree that the 6 and 5.5 are not,
Yeah.
we don't need them? We kind of forget about them. So we have to rewrite our thing as the area is a half times 7 times
6.5.
6.5. Alright, which I would give you a calculator if I wanted you to do that. Well, actually, we don't need, we could do that, can't we?
No.
7
We
times
need calculators.
6.5.
Calculator's good.
7 times 6.5, how do we do it? So 7 times 6.5. Right, write that in the wrong place. 6.5. How'd you do it?
Oh.
39.5. So we do 0. 39.5. How did you do it then?
I just divided by 6.5.
Well, for me, I would actually do 7 times 6 and then 7 times a half.
Yeah, that's what I did.
So 7 times 6 is,
42.
so your answer can't be right. And then 7 times 0.5, or half of 7 is
3.5.
3.5. And we put them together and get the answer.
45.5.
So the area is
45.5.
45.5 centimetres squared.
Centimeters.
So it's very important that when you work out the areas of the triangle, you take the base and the height. Alright? So, can I get you then on page 137? Question 1. A, B, C and D. Alright? You do those.
Meters and the height is 6 centimeters.
Yeah, good. So for A, we've got the base, and we can see from the perpendicular we have the height. Okay. I know it's just towards the end of the lesson, so let's just go through, not make the calculations just with me now. We'll do it later. Base and height of B. Base is
5 and 7.
Oh,
so the
7
base.
is 7 and
height is
5
5.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's already got that.
These ones are quite nice. The
Because I've
base
already got
here
it.
is
8 centimeters
8.
and the height is 12 centimeters.
yeah, good. They put that on a slant so that you don't always think height goes straight up. And what about this one?
30 millimeters.
Right, so I want to show you
That's
that
the
the
base.
height, the base is only that, and the height is
40.
40.
Because
So again, doesn't necessarily have to be that the height touches the base. You know, that height, remember, I think Indilili pointed out, well, actually, if you were to, oh, I keep doing that, don't I?
you because you're on the highlight.
I'm on the highlight. If you just put a box around it, alright, the triangle here is still,
30 times.
so you can do the same with the others as well. Alright, okay. See you after break.